Hi everyone, Jane here. If you remember back in the summer, I put together a travel kit to take on holiday with me. So today, I know it's now, is that, only 2 months, that's not too bad. 2 months later, I thought I'd have a little look through what I took and what I found worked really well and what I found didn't work for me and what I would change and how I would change it. So I do have some changes that I have since made. Now, since I came home, I did actually empty this and repurpose it for my Derwent drawing pencils. However, for this video, I have repacked it as I did for the video before I went on holiday. So this was the case that I was taking. Just to give you, it is quite a hefty old case, and that was one of the things I found when I went on holiday. So it is a pencil case. It comes with three of these leaves, two of which are removable. So I took them out off the Velcro so I could pack other things in. So I thought we'd sort of have a quick run through of what I used and what I didn't use. So in this front part, I had packed some painter's tape, which I didn't use. And I did pack some stencils, which I did use a couple of times. So I have to say I didn't do loads and loads of painting and art whilst I was on holiday. I was there with my family. We were doing a lot of walking, which is another point I need to make about travel kits and plein air painting at some point. And so I didn't do loads because even though my family were very good and they were very willing to sit and wait while I painted whilst out and about, obviously when you're on holiday as a family, you are very aware that it's not just about you. So I didn't like to spend too much time doing it. So I did use these a couple of times, so they probably were vaguely worth it. And I think I did use my ruler as well. Pencils. I didn't use my pencils when on location as such. So when I was out and about, I didn't really use them. I found I mostly just used the watercolor and a normal pencil and pen. I did, however, use them when I was back at the cottage where we were staying to then sort of fill in extra detail on some of my paintings. But also we had one day where we stayed in our cottage all day. It was the worst weather, and we decided to have a rest day sort of in the middle of the week where we wouldn't go anywhere because we were full on lots of walking, lots of visiting places. And so I did use them on that day as well. I do like the Derwent drawing pencils. I have a video about how I've recently bought some extra. I will link in the description box the videos for the original travel kit and also the Derwent pencils. And I have a video of one of the paintings that I did do whilst on holiday. So I did take them. I also took some Derwent Lightfast. I did use those a little bit. They're not something I would say that when I'm out and about normally that I would bother taking in a kit from now on. For going on holiday, this was totally fine. We were going in a car, so this was a fine amount of stuff to take. This was not an overkill at all. However, the difference was when we was out walking, and that's the bit I want to talk about a bit more later on. So I took my mechanical pencil. I didn't really use a mechanical pencil. I have to admit I preferred using a normal pencil, but a mechanical pencil is handy if you haven't got the space within a smaller kit where you don't want to be taking a sharpener and having that sort of the issues of what you do with your sharpenings and all those sorts of things. So it is handy for that. If you're able to have a sharpener, I did take this one, which I find really useful because it keeps your sharpenings in there. That was a useful tool, and so I did use it with my pencil. My gel pen, I didn't really use my gel pen. I have to admit, I did also take a white Posca pen. I did use my white Posca pen. I found that one more useful. Gel pens I find better when I'm doing things that are more like alcohol markers. So this was more useful with the watercolours. And I took two fine liners. I took a 0.2 and a 0.5. In my watercolor sketchbook, 0.2 wasn't really very good, so I would probably in the future just take the 0.5 or even maybe a 0.6 or a 0.8, something with a bit of a thicker tip. They didn't overly like the watercolor paper. Essential item. Kitchen towel. I have to say, I used kitchen towel so much. It was really useful when I was sitting to blot your brushes on. Also, when I finished, if I was out and about and then we had to pack up and go, I would put a little bit of kitchen towel in my pages so that they weren't sort of going against the other pages, things like that. They're really handy if you want to wrap anything up. So I would say kitchen towel, essential item. I took a little sponge, didn't really use it. To be fair, the kitchen towel was enough. Rubber was essential for me, especially if I was using this pencil. And this one, I really love this one. This is a I think it's a Derwent. I don't know, but it when you erase your lines, it sort of peels it up into like a little thing. So you can easily pick up the little bits and put them in a little rubbish bag. So you're not like making a mess with it, which I really loved. Loved these. I have to say, the one I used, the ones I used the most were obviously this one, which is now got more water in it because it was in another kit. This is like the thicker round one, and the one that I didn't think I would use the most, but I really did, was this flat one. I absolutely loved using the big flat brush. It's got a little bit I had a bit of an issue with it. I had to take it the top off to sort it out, and then I ended up with some little bits. So there probably are some little bristles that could probably do with a little bit of trimming. These ones here, they've got a bit caught at some points. I do need to trim them off. They're annoying me. I'm going to leave that off now. I didn't overly use the two finer ones, ironically, which I thought I would use these the most. That's been a bit used, but the ones I did use the most was the two bigger ones actually. So, but I did enjoy using those. They're really handy if you don't want to have to take water. I didn't really use the pens. I probably would not bother taking them again. I did use no, this isn't the glue stick I had originally. I did actually buy this while I was on holiday because I think I took the glue stick out that I had in the kit before I went, and then I realised I did need one. I did vaguely use it to stick something in my journals. I took these 2 tubes of gouache for white and black. I didn't actually use those either. And this is actually a different tin than the one in the original video. The reason being, on our not our first day, as in not our travelling day, but the second day, we went on a really big 4 waterfall walk hike. And when we got to the bottom of one of the places and I sat down and I was going to do some painting, I opened my tin and I dropped my tin and I damaged the tin, the bit where it sticks together, and my paints came out. It was a bit of a nightmare. It almost, to be fair, it did almost put me off wanting to do any painting on that holiday, but I did persevere the next day. But I just had to take all the paints back with me and clean them all out, clean all my tin out. But when we got back, I realized it wasn't working at all well anymore, the tin. It just wasn't fixing, even though we tried to fix it. So I have this tin, which is an old tin, which I've actually taken this flap out. So I just transferred all the paints into this one. Now this is I think it was a slightly different colour selection than what was in the original video, because I did change around, but I was really, really happy with the colours that I took. My biggest surprises in terms of the colours I used: Davies Grey, which I wasn't overly keen on. I used that a lot, especially when I was painting a castle. And my buff titanium was one of my favourite colours as well to use. Loved the manganese blue hue. I have since bought a cerulean blue in Rosa Gallery, which I think I would possibly put in a palette. Brown's really useful. Green's really useful. Probably didn't need as many of the blues, and I probably didn't need as many of these sorts of colours. The Naples yellow was useful, especially when we went to the beach one day. So I was happy, but I was happy with what I took. It was a nice amount that you can see. I was going to say, I think I've topped some of these up since. That's not because I didn't use them. I've just re-topped some colours up. But I was really happy. I was happy with the mixing space. But like I say, I've took the other mixing palette off of this, and you'll find that out in a bit. So that was my palette, very useful. Clips, super useful. I couldn't sort of say anything against clips. And I did like my little book. Now I'll show you. Now this is my colour swatch for the paints that are actually in that tin. I did that before I went. This was one I did before I went. This was one I did before I went. And that was a tip I would give, is if you are planning on a trip somewhere and you are thinking about what you want to take, I would recommend, what I did was I went out in my garden with my kit to see how it worked, and then I went out and about a couple of times actually to see how it worked and to see what colour, and that was why I changed some of my colours, because I found from sort of like my scouting missions what to do. I may be teaching people to suck eggs here, so if you already know all this, I do apologise. This is for people who might be thinking about doing plein air painting or putting together a travel kit. Now, one of the main thing I found with this kit was when we were hiking, I had this in my backpack, plus food, plus a water bottle, and it was way too heavy. It was too heavy for me. In the end, bless him, my husband had to carry my bag as well as his own backpack whilst we were on the 4 waterfall walk. And I was still struggling. It was a tough walk. Apparently it's only medium walk, but like an intermediate, but we found it tough. Well, I found it extremely tough. There was lots of going up steep climbs, so it was too heavy for that. So I would, and I will be in the future, not taking such a big kit out and about for something like that. However, the next day we went to the beach, and we just walked from the car down to the beach. And there is a video of this on my channel, which I will link, as I said. And because we were sat in one position and I could just get things out when I needed them, that was fine. It was fine for that. But I then, after that, when we went out and about, and I knew we would be doing a lot of walking, I sort of just took a few items like my watercolor palette and some brushes and a pencil and my book, and I put them in a pencil case, and I just took that, and that was much better. So that sort of was a big learning curve for me. So this is when we went to the Mumbles, which is the beach in Wales. I sat and did a drawing. I coloured this the next day. They're not brilliant paintings, but they were fun. And I did sit on the beach and paint the lighthouse that was up on the hill, up on the rocks, I should say, above. Which is an old lighthouse. I don't think it's a working lighthouse, a Victorian one. And I really enjoyed doing that one, so that was great fun. Then we went to Caerphilly Castle. Now this is where I did use my stencils. I drew this out the day before. I stuck in afterwards some of this. So I did a couple of these 2 whilst we were there. And then I did these the day after. I was going to fill them all in. I took photos at the castle, and then I sort of drew little pictures in the next day. And the other thing I did was, after we went to the castle, we sat opposite it in the park, and I did the drawing for this, and I think I painted it the next day. So again, I took photographs and painted it in the next day. So this was the one I did at Caerphilly Castle. This was a very quick one on another walk we did to a waterfall, which it was on the verge of starting to pour with rain. So I didn't do very much. I wasn't very happy, and I just left it. So that was all I actually did out and about. And if you remember, I did actually take this one as well, my Sea Whites one, where I think I did with everybody. I painted out the colours that I was going to use or take with me. So I did one thing, and this I did on the day when we stayed in the cottage, and this was just me having fun and just doing some shapes, getting some patterns down, and then I did a little dragon in the middle to be one. And that was all I did in that book, but I still got the book, so it doesn't matter. So that was what I actually took. So my main takeaways from this kit were that I didn't need this excess things. I didn't need the pens. So a few pencils would be useful, but I don't think I needed as many as I did. I could have got away with just a couple of brushes. I didn't need the gouache. And when you're going on any sort of walking sort of parts of your trip, I do need to be aware of what I'm taking, because I can't cope with carrying too much. I need a light kit. So with that being said, oh, the other thing I found when I dropped my palette, the reason I ended up dropping my palette was because I was trying to balance having my sketchbook, and then I had my palette, and I didn't quite know, and I was clipping things, and that is how the palette got dropped. So I felt like I needed some way of holding things that wasn't so conducive to me dropping things. And can be quite clumsy at times. That was one of the big things I found. I felt really, when I was not so much on the beach because we were sat and I could set things out, but when we was at places where I just wanted to get things out and have to do a quick painting, a quick sketch, I felt like I wasn't organised enough, that I couldn't coordinate how I wanted things. So that led to me getting something when I came home. Now I'll just push all this to the side. Some people may have heard of this company. Some might. They are based in the UK. I've seen a few different YouTubers showing these kits. This wasn't the main reason I got this. I didn't even realise I was getting the bag, to be totally honest. The reason I went to Just Go Sketching, and I will link their website in the description box below. I totally paid for my items. I'm not affiliated to them. I will get no commission for anybody buying anything. But the reason I wanted to go to Just Go Sketching was for this. This little board. Now, I ordered this kit. It came with, I got the little sketchbook, which is not Strathmore, Saunders Waterford, one of my favourite watercolour papers. I got my little board. I didn't get clips, but I bought clips separately. I got a little water brush. I got the mechanical pencil, and I got the bag. And the idea is that you put your little board in here, and then you get your clips, and now I can hold my sketchbook. I can grab my palette. Now this is why I took the other bit out of my palette, because I didn't want it to, and there's a magnet here. I stick that to that, and look, woohoo! This, for me, and all of what I'm saying today is about how I like to do my art and craft. This for me is a game changer. I've used this a couple of times already out and about, and it makes such a huge difference to my life, because like I say, I found the sort of the mechanics of combining everything so difficult, that this has just made it so much easier for me. Now and it did come with, I just remembered what else it came with. It did come with this little teeny tiny tin where I could choose 6 colours. So I did choose my 6 colours. I haven't used it out and about, but it's handy. I've got it in there. But even though this is a really small board, and they do a lot of bigger boards, you do also get this, where has it gone? There. This is for putting on there, and you can put your pencil through. So if you're using a little palette, a little watercolour palette, that will go, and you can have your pencil or whatever through there. But I take it off because I want the bigger palette on there. But that is really quite small. let me have a look. That's not going to be much use for me. Let's look at this one. So it is, I do believe it's 4 inches. Yeah, it's 4 inches by 4 inches, the same as I do believe 4 inches by 4 inches. But you could certainly, I have tried it out with an A6, excuse me. I've tried it out with slightly bigger ones and it works perfectly well. And for me, this has totally changed how I feel about going out with my my kit. And so those were my colours that I chose. This was, I decided just to draw my colours. That's when I got it. And I'd made a little mixing chart just to show what you can get from just 6 colours. This was a picture I did recently before Waterwood Copse. I don't like it particularly. When I came home, I went over a lot of it and I feel it was totally overdone. And this is what I did the other day when we sat by Carisbrooke Castle. Very quick sort of little watercolour thing. So already I feel like it's encouraged me to get out and draw more. I feel more confident, and this little bag, which is really useful, it's for some reason I didn't think I was getting a bag, but I don't know. So that can fit in here quite easily, and then my little board can fit in here, and I've put some rulery things in there. I've got a couple of little brushes, and then I'll put one bigger brush in here, and my pencils. My palette just slots in here. You can fit so much in here. I put my rubber in this one, and there are so many. It's like got loops upon loops. It's got pockets, and then you can use this to, like, you can. Oh, sorry, I just probably hit you then, didn't I? You like can. I'm not quite sure how to figure. I think you can probably do something where you set it up so that you can have it sort of half open. What I did was, when I was using it the other day, I just sort of had it so I just unzip the sides so you can reach in, but you don't have to open the whole thing. I pop my phone in there as well, which is handy. On the back you get this, these come off. If you want to like put it round a backpack or something, you get another clip thing for attaching it to things. So for me, this is going to be really, really useful. And I just have to I pop my phone in there and I have it, and this is so light compared to having this in my backpack. And like I say, if you're going somewhere and you're just sitting still, having more is totally fine. But if you are doing what I am often doing, which is we are actually on a walk or a hike sometimes, that just having this to take with you so you can stop where you want and just get out what you need, and it's all compact. This for me is ideal, and I'm really looking forward to using it more and more. Unfortunately, we're now coming into, we're already well into autumn, we're coming into winter, so I might not be out and about so much, but I'm intending to, whenever there is a nice day, to try and get out and really get into the habit of using it. I really do enjoy the process of painting out and about. I don't think I do my best work so to speak, but that's not the point of it. The point is we love going on walks anyway. We do love we do love nature. We live in a beautiful part of the UK with loads and loads of countryside, loads of woodlands, loads of beaches. We are very, very lucky, and so we do like to get out and see it. And so being able to just stop for 15 minutes just to do a quick little painting, it's not the best, but it's just getting out there and doing it. And that's the thing, getting out in the fresh air, getting out in nature and doing something creative. So I hope that's given you some sort of insight into my thoughts. I will certainly keep on doing my plein air. I know it's probably not for everybody. I think I've gotten over already the thing about worrying about what other people think when I'm out and about. I think that is a major sort of stumbling block in a way, is worrying, but you just got to sort of think, oh well. So far, no, people have only ever just said nice things. Oh, it's nice to see people painting. I haven't had people come over and sort of to look at what I'm doing, because then I'd have to say, "What? Please excuse me, I'm quite a beginner at this." But it's really enjoyable, and I do have to say that this kit I think it is going to be really, really useful. Keep tapping it. There you go. So thank you ever so much for watching today. Like I say, I hope it was useful. And until the next time, bye.